More about this, we can bring in France 24's environment editor Valerie Dekimpe. Valerie, good to see you. How will a Trump presidency hinder climate efforts, and what exactly can he do to reverse many of the policies that the Biden administration has put in place?
What we heard there in that report, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Green New Scam, as Donald Trump called it. So that will be one of the major, it was one of the major promises, at least when it comes to climate policies for Donald Trump, repealing parts of the IRA so that this massive $1.2 trillion investment package in clean technology, including electric vehicles, wind turbines, solar panels. Now, repealing parts of the IRA would require congressional approval, and Trump might encounter some resistance, surprisingly, from Republican lawmakers. Some of them have expressed their desire to keep the IRA, and that's because we know that about 80% of manufacturing investments as part of the IRA have actually already flown to Republican congressional districts. So, for example, electric vehicle plants in Georgia, battery factories in South Carolina. We also know that many of Trump's allies have also benefited from the Inflation Reduction Act. Think of Elon Musk and Tesla that have, which have benefited from tax credits provided by the IRA in terms of electric vehicles. Then you also have Trump's energy policy, and we know that Trump is all about fossil fuels, promising to drill, baby drill, in his own words. And so a Trump presidency will mean an expansion of oil and gas production. During his first term, Trump went into great lengths to remove protections in order to open up public lands and waters to mining and drilling. So he will do that again. And he has promised to open up the Alaskan wilderness, as he said, to more drilling and make it cheaper to actually drill on public lands. And the third point that I want to make is the Environmental Protection Agency, so the federal agency responsible for protecting air, water, and public health. It became a target for Donald Trump during his first presidency. It will be the case again. He did roll back on more than 100 regulations back then. Many of them were reinstated by Biden, but there's certainly desire now to repair all the work undone, in his view, by the Biden administration.
Now, we're a week away from the UN's annual climate summit, COP29, going to take place in Azerbaijan. Tell us about the global implications of Trump's win.
Well, two main, at least, implications, concrete implications of Trump's win would be, first of all, he has promised to quit the Paris Agreement, just like he did back in 2017. Biden, again, rejoined the Paris Agreement, but he could very well quit the Paris Agreement again, Donald Trump. And he has also said that he has plans to remove the U.S. from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So that is the treaty that underpins the Paris Agreement. It would be an even more radical move than just quitting the Paris Agreement, if you will. That is because it compels countries to provide an annual tally of their planet warming gases. And so the U.S. essentially would be off the hook here. The election, as you were saying, coincides with COP29. The negotiating team traveling to Baku, Azerbaijan, is still under Biden's command. But obviously, Trump's win sends a signal, and this is happening just as countries are getting ready to provide even more ambitious climate plans before February 2025. So not only the U.S. will not have to provide those more ambitious plans if Trump quits the Paris Agreement, but the U.S. will not be responsible anymore for providing millions, billions of dollars in climate finance. And so the prospect of that could obviously have an impact on negotiations in Baku and countries struggling to reach an agreement on climate finance. And there's also the question of if the U.S. does not have to provide a more ambitious climate plan, well, other countries presumably might be tempted to also change their own plans and not provide more ambitious plans. So that is certainly one scenario. The other scenario, though, is to say that, the Paris Agreement survived the U.S. quitting a few years ago. And so it will be resilient once again. Back then, we thought that maybe other countries would begin quitting the agreement, and that didn't happen. So we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Thank you very much for that, Valerie. Valerie Dekimpe there.